Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for being here this afternoon as we develop our inquiry mindset, and each of us seeks to answer the question, how will you enter the classroom a different and more complete teacher than before as a result of our conversation today? I'm Sandy Benton, Field Consultant for the Wisconsin Green Schools Network. Our guest today is Trevor MacKenzie. Trevor is an award-winning English teacher and an instructional coach focusing on inquiry and technology from Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. Trevor is co-author of Inquiry Mindset, published in 2018, and author of Dive into Inquiry, published in 2016, both by Elevate Books EDU. When you talked about the glacial process sometimes of making the changes, what are some of the common struggles that you see teachers experiencing, and how as a coach, were you able to support teachers as they make sense of this in their classroom, and like you say, make it an and start making the shift to being leveling things between students and teachers and students in the curriculum?
Yeah, there are three big barriers to successful implementation of inquiry. And this isn't just from my experience, this is my research. I spent 4 years doing my graduate work on successful implementation of inquiry. So the first one is, there's a lot of confusion around what inquiry is and what it isn't. And a lot of teachers think inquiry is just the free end and it's that deep end of the pool. And that's just not the case. There are 4 types. And so if we're constantly going to the free end and we're throwing our kids into the deep end too fast and too soon, then we're going to see students flail, we're going to see students fail, and then we're going to see students be anxious and uncertain because, that's not supported inquiry. So part of my work has been to demystify the 4 types and really have teachers narrow in on where they are in that pool and where they need to go to next. So, that's one is, get the confusion out and bring that swimming pool graphic in for all people in our schools, from our principals and our leaders to the teachers, to the students, and to the parents. That swimming pool analogy, I staple it as part of our core syllabus. So parents see how we're going to operate throughout the year. Students see it because we're pointing to it throughout the year. And then what that does is the second piece. We need to be talking about teaching and learning using the same language, and there can be no confusion in our organization, in our school. So when a principal stands up and starts talking about inquiry, they need to look at that swimming pool graphic. They need to use all 4 types, and they need to understand what it is that we're asking of our students. If we are talking about inquiry, well, who is an inquirer? What skills and understandings do we want for our students to be leaving our classrooms with at each specific grade level? So then we start to look at, how are our schools planned in terms of a scope and sequence, if you will, from each grade? So students are leaving our classrooms with that common language that from the principal to the teacher to the student, they understand as being, what it is that's going to happen in our classrooms. And then the third one, and this is a big barrier, teachers need support. And that sounds so, obvious, but in so many spaces that I've seen and so much of the research I've done, teachers are told, this is our new curriculum. Inquiry is in our curriculum. Now go teach it. And there's very little support in terms of rolling these ideas out or implementing these ideas. Part of my published work, of course, is meant to solve that challenge. Here are 2 amazing resources from a practicing teacher to help you roll out and implement strong inquiry. But beyond my work, I think it happens in terms of really strong PLCs coming together within a school, like-minded teachers who are really focused on a few achievable goals, and they meet regularly to chew on those goals and talk about how they're working towards meeting those goals. And that requires some funding in terms of time. It requires some funding in terms of what's the focal point. Maybe it's bringing in a book such as mine to spearhead that support. But, if we're talking about implementing curricular change, there needs to be support from the top of the organization down to the people who are focusing on that change, the instructional side of that change, and those are our teachers. So, again, the 3 big ones are, we need to be, not confused around what inquiry is. We need to adopt those 4 types. then we need to be talking about those 4 types throughout our whole school, from principal to teacher to student to parents. And then for true implementation to occur, teachers need that ongoing support. And what does that ongoing support look like in terms of meeting the needs of the specific school? You know, my website, my social media platforms, those are really great ways to get in touch with me. And I'm very, very much open to that dialogue. It could be a direct tweet, it could be a DM or an email. And if you ever want me to retweet you, just simply tag me in a tweet. And I bring that up because in my global travels, you know, there are 15,000 people who are part of that community of people who are following me on Twitter. And, you know, if I don't have an idea that is going to support you and meet your needs, I'm sure someone in that group of 15,000 does, or at least has something that I don't. And so oftentimes I encourage teachers, tag me in a tweet, and that's our little, you know, secret correspondence that you'd like me to retweet you. And before long, what you'll see is genuine interaction with people from around the world.